Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
The children, the laughter, the times we've had, the life we share. It all began when I gave you a diamond. This anniversary, I'll give you another. A solitaire as bright as our dreams. For all that's been and all that's to come.
For your anniversary, the Diamond Solitaire. A diamond is forever. De Beers.
And I'd like to use our platform to really address this thing that I've had an issue with for a while. I'm sick of the Shawn Waltman slander. Like, I get it. Like, he was in a crew with people that are more famous, more popular than him. But like, for what it's worth, man, he served his purpose. Like, you know, I look at X-Pac /6 123 Kid. I kind of look at him as like the Ringo of his collective crews. Like, you know, or I'd even say a you god. You know, he can't help it that he's surrounded with Kevin Nash, Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Papa Pump, these like household names. And then he goes to DX, he's surrounded by Triple H, the Road Dogg, Badass. But it's just like people, you know, from these various wrestling groups that I'm in on Facebook, man, there's a lot of slander on the man. It's
I
like,
mean, what are they saying though? Like, how can you hate the man?
X-Pac sucks. Like, no, he doesn't. He fucking doesn't.
Man, somebody could go. He needs to go rodeo stomp or whatever that move was called on those dudes. Here's the thing. I feel like the last kind of taste we all got of X-Pac 6, whoever you want to call it, it wasn't great, you know? But you're right. I mean, he was the utility guy. He didn't have the personality to stand up to all those people. I mean, maybe if you want to rank him in DX though, is he better than Mr. Ass? Because, you know, Mr. Ass was on a team with a guy who had all the personality, and he was just the ass man. So is X-Pac, does he rank above at least Mr. Ass in that hierarchy, Steve?
I would say so because of his mic work. He has some quotables. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. He said that to Eric Bischoff. Like when his first time coming back, he joined DX on Raw and he addressed Eric Bischoff. And that was kind of like drawing a line in the sand, like, yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I love that.
And then the parodies that they would do. When they parodied Nation of Domination, he was Mizark Henry. Like that was hilarious. And then when he was in WCW, when Arn Anderson announced his retirement, that following week on Nitro, Kevin Nash put on like a bald cap.
I remember that.
and X or 6 at the time, he was being Ric Flair, and he had on like this fake nose and a blonde wig, and he was just going up on the ropes and doing the like, dude, his stuff. Like, if there's a compilation of the best of Shawn Waltman in wrestling, man, like I'm sure you would crack several laughs.
He had a funny thing that I remember. I was in the DX video, but it involved him pissing. He was in, you know, DX was fucking with somebody, and he was like pissing all over somebody's motorcycle. It was probably DOA. I like thinking of it. It probably was. But I just remember he was just like sitting there laughing, pissing on this dude's motorcycle, and you're a Road Dogg in the background, like it's like a fucking camel over there. It's just fucking hilarious, dude. Hell yeah. Plus, I mean, you know, we can't not say also that he got in China's drawers too, which, I mean, maybe somebody wouldn't like that, but dude got to fucking take down the queen of the WWE at the time, you know? And he was, I mean, a larger woman at that. So dude had some fucking balls on him.
I mean, and he got a better version of her than Hunter Hearst Helmsley did. I mean, he got her when she was like Sergeant Slaughter Jen.
Yeah, he got a more feminine, but one of the not a great sex tape, but still. And I don't like it either. Fuck that slander, because if you're involved in those two things, you're cool as fuck. You got the bona
Oh,
fides. Like, there's nothing else to say. If it was just the 1, 2, 3 kid, I get it. I'm not into it. But take that, even leave it in. He's still part of two of the greatest groups in wrestling history. So, Shawn, don't fuck the haters, dude. Don't listen to that.
and one more thing, man. I have to ask you this because just last week was the anniversary of him becoming the new Steelers coach in '92.
Yeah.
Is Bill Cowher your favorite coach of all time?
You know, him and Mike Tomlin are right there, but yeah, I mean, he was the guy I grew up and loved, and our team is blessed to really have like they're just the coaches are the coaches for so long. So I got to see that guy go from the years where we were struggling, even with like Cordell, but like Tommy, but he got us finally to the promised land. And I mean, the dude looks like a football coach. He looks like Sergeant Slaughter as a football coach. He's got the chin. He's got the little fucking grizzle. He'd always be spitting and shit. Yeah, dude. But, that's not to say anything bad about Mike Tomlin. I love him too. But that's the guy I grew up with, And I saw him get us out of the doldrums and get us a win right before he retired. And he had a great career, man. Now he's killing it. I like him as a commentator too. He just seems like a cool ass dude.
Respectable, man. I don't have a dog in a race, but I never had a problem with Bill Cowher.
He was a winner. I mean, he left the Browns, which I always like to throw in people's faces. Like, you could have had this dude, fuck that up. So to me, he was just like sort of, especially for that town and that team, perfect. If it was like a movie and you were casting it, perfect casting. Just just like a mean motherfucker that was just leading these dudes on. It always looked cool. And like I said, you got too close. You had to get one of those fucking face masks the DX wore with the little windshield wipers because you were going to get a face full.
I'm sure those refs back in the day caught a lot of slobber.
Oh my God, it'd be terrifying. But yeah, and also gross because you're getting spit on. But Bill's a dude, man. I love that. And obviously you saw with that post, motherfuckers love Bill Cowher. He's a popular dude.
They love him, man. So salute, man. As a Cowboys fan from Cowboy Nations,
Wow.
man.
Well, you got one on him though. You got to put one on him, so
True.
we both got to experience that. So no wonder you like him. But that being said, Bill, also a legend, and nobody's talking shit about that man. And if you do, you're gonna get the chin.
They had told me it was a completely new kind of maxi.
Introducing a revolution.
They said it was miraculously thin and that it protects better than an ordinary maxi. But nothing prepared me for what they showed me.
Introducing Always Ultra Plus.
It wasn't thin, it was flat, and it was practically nothing. I mean, I didn't think I was brave enough or crazy enough to try this. Well, I did, and on my heaviest day, no less, when I usually wear a thick pad.
Always Ultra Plus works better. It has a new ultra-absorbent core that traps moisture inside the pad. Always Ultra Plus protects when other maxis won't.
I felt nothing except protected.
New Always Ultra Plus with wings.
As far as I'm concerned, everything else is history.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Camp Low albums and your Camp Candy tapes because sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Or I'm just stunned.
Fucking Dookie. Dukester.
Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things February 1st in 1990s. Starting off in 1991, Meet the Applegates premieres in theaters. Modeling themselves after an idyllic, cookie-cutter suburban 1950s family, a colony of insects moved from South America into the United States with the intent of getting access to the nation's nuclear resources. Directed by Michael Lehman, starring Ed Begley Jr., Stockard Channing, and Dabney Coleman.
Think Third Rock from the Sun, but instead of aliens, they're gigantic bugs.
Pretty much. and set in a 1950. Well, I don't know if it's set in the 1950s. That's just how they modeled themselves.
Yeah.
Um, very weird, very weird.
I mean, it's Ed Begley Jr., which he kind of looks like he has an insect inside of him, but it's it's wacky. I mean, it's a comedy, obviously, but it is basically that. It's like these aliens that are just sort of impersonating humans, and they get into some hijinks, Steve.
Yeah, and the daughter, she gets raped by her boyfriend. I'm guessing. I think they're dating, and she tells him to stop. He proceeds to keep doing his thing, and she just like turns into an insect and like puts him in a cocoon and like puts him in the basement. And they all have like these things that they're trying to hide. Like that was her thing. She puts him in the basement and hides him. The son, he makes friends with these heavy metal like punk rocker dudes, and they're smoking weed in his room, and he's
Okay.
so high he turns into an insect. And they seeing this and they're like, bro, this is some good stuff. So like to protect his family's identity, he puts them in a cocoon and hides them in the basement. Ed Begley
Damn, the
Jr.
bros though, they liked it. They didn't know. You could have passed it off. Like that's the Chiba, guys. It's that sweet, sweet
No one,
Chiba.
it's top secret. But Ed Begley Jr., he's having an affair with one of his assistants. She's just all over his nuts throughout this movie. They finally get it in, and while they're getting it in, like they get caught by the coworkers, and so both of them fired on the spot. And so like now the assistant's like, you know what? I need money now. So if you want your wife to know, you better cough up. Uh, I can't remember how much it
Damn.
was. Yeah, hey, Begley was just like, yeah, right, bitch.
Wow, dude. This also because I only watched the trailer for this, so I didn't watch this as a kid or anything. But if I'm not mistaken, the daughter becomes pregnant. So is this a rape baby that she's gonna have, or like
Yeah,
what in
it's
the
a rape
hell,
baby.
guys? Come on. Does it come to terms, Steve? Does she have the rape baby?
Oh, well, she goes into labor, and like these guys come into their house to say that like, hey, your family has been the number one family in America or something. Like I don't know what their purpose was. It was one of them kind of deals. Like
It's like
they're like, what the fuck? What
Publishers
do you
Clearinghouse, but you won the best family contest.
exactly? As she's going into labor, the baby comes out, and one of the guys like accidentally steps on it, and it just turns into like mush. And so they put them in a cocoon. All the whole family
Damn.
turns, yeah.
Okay, so do they win? What happens at the end of this, Steve?
Uh,
You know?
peace. I can't remember. Like this whole weekend has been a blur, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Well,
Uh,
hey, we all been there, so that's okay.
and then honestly, I kind of lost interest, man. But also in 1991, Popcorn premieres. A master of disguise deranged killer begins killing off the college students who are organizing a horror movie marathon in an abandoned theater. Directed by Mark Harrier, starring Jill Scolin, Tom Villard, D. Wallace Stone, Derek Rydell, Elliot Hurst, Kelly Jo Minter. And that's the only name I recognize. Oh, and Ray Walston. I remember Ray Walston from My Martian. Was it My Favorite Martian?
No, I don't remember any of them, but I saw this preview too. Gotta say, this looks like a USA Up All Night movie. The Frankenstein, the baloney face, the whole shebang bang. It looks real B grade. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely is. And there's a parody, like a B movie that they're actually like watching. It's called the Flying Mosquito or Attack of the Mosquito, and that looked actually more interesting than this movie.
Yeah, it does. This looks like something where there's going to be a lot of T, a lot of A, and you're going to see a lot of killing in it too. And I'll say in the preview, they invoke every other horror movie like Legendary, where they're like before Halloween, before
Yeah.
Nightmare on, So they make you like really want to see a good horror movie, and then they deliver salami face the movie. It looks really bad.
Haka shit it was. And also in 91, speaking of Haka shit, Queen's Logic premieres. A group of lifelong friends meet again in Queens for Ray's bachelor party and wedding. Directed by Steve Rash, starring Kevin Bacon, Linda Fiorentino, John Malkovich, Joe Montana, Ken Olin, Tony Sporadics, Tom Waits, Chloe Webb, and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Filled with stars, obviously, but this is just like
stars.
this is like that. You might not even know about this, but there was like a dinner theater thing that was huge. It might still happen. It was called Tony and Tina's Wedding, where it's like dinner theater and you go eat and you're like in a, everybody is like an actor that's like, hey, Tony. It's like just it's Italian Queens, the show. And that's basically what this seems to be. Just with a lot of stars though, like Malkovich. Like you get Malkovich in this.
And Kevin Bacon. You know, I was holding off. It's like because the movie was like boring the shit out of me. It's like let me hold off till Bacon get here. The Bacon got there, and I was just like, it's just still no. I paused the movie, Matt. I had to take a Deuce McAllister, and then like by the time I came from the bathroom, Peacock just turned the movie off. I was like, you know what? Maybe that's the universe telling me something.
Stop. So it's just not even, it's not even crispy bacon. You're getting fucking slimy, fucking flaccid bacon. It didn't look great, you know?
No.
It looked like what I said. It's a lot of Ginzo, like, hey, oh, you know? So if you're into that, cool. But it's like Goodfellas without any of the good shit, you know? Just them like cutting garlic and making sauce.
The mediocre fellas, the I fellas. But also in 91, I did enjoy this. Run premieres. When a law student accidentally kills the son of a mob boss in a fight, he finds himself relentlessly pursued by the mob and the police. Directed by Jeff Burrows, starring Patrick Dempsey and Kelly Preston.
This looked fun. This looked like, I mean, it's a movie you've seen definitely many times, but this one looked cool. And it's a Dempsey. It's like early Dempsey.
Yeah.
Which I'm not
Mr.
a fan of.
Loverboy.
I mean, that's not like huge, but like, you know, he's a big thing. He's fucking McDreamy or whatever the fuck. So this is before that. He looks like fucking super young in this.
People's Sexiest Man of the Year. I don't know what year it was. What, maybe last year? I'm sure Kendra knows.
Well, I love a chase movie, dude. These are great. This is a fun, like, I guess subgenre of action movies, but it looked cool. You know, it's just a dude owns the town, his chud son.
But the thing was, bro, Dempsey didn't even kill him. This guy is being a piece of shit. Like they're playing poker and Dempsey wins. And the guy, he's like, no, run that back. He's like, no, man, sometimes you just got to take that L. Will you call me a loser? And throughout the game, he's just being an asshole to him. He's pushing him, and Dempsey wanted no smoke. So this big doofus, he trips and he cracks his head on the counter. And there's witnesses, but like at the same time, the narrative that they're running with was that there's this kid that killed him and he doesn't even have a record. What did he do? And, you know, like you said, he's the mob boss's son. The mob boss, his name is actually Matt, which
I love that.
Hey, yeah, I mean, hey, man, I love you, bro. You're my dog, brother from another mother, but I've never heard of a mob boss named Matt.
Matt, the anvil. Yeah, you don't see it. It's not like a very. It's not just an evil sounding name. Hey, Matt. You know, what do we do, Matt? So I didn't even clock that. But his son looks like a chud, so he's better off. You know, he did him a favor.
Yeah, and they even said that some of the like cops who like they're in the mob boss's pocket, like they were like, oh yeah, he was kind of a dick, but yeah, dude, like he's just running after, he's getting chased by everybody, the cops, the mob, and it's very slapsticky in a way because these people are like doing themselves in on, like they're trying to shoot at him at one point, and he's in the crossfires between two cops, and the cops like kill the other cop, like.
So he's just like sort of stumbling through like success in this like chase. He's like getting through by the skin of his teeth, but it's not because he's like Kevin McAllistering these villains into traps and shit.
Yeah, very late 80s, early 90s, man. Like I feel like we got a lot of those kind of movies around this time, man. Stumbling upon success.
Hell yeah. That's our generation's mantra, basically.
I mean, exactly. Like that's how the mob boss's son died. Like the guy didn't even touch him. He just like stumbled and did himself in.
Hey man, but don't fuck around. That's why you don't get in these fucking situations. Dempsey's getting shot at. Also, I gotta say, like the action I was seeing in the preview looked top notch. It looked like a really like what it wasn't like a shitty movie, like a shitty looking movie. So I guess like that's kind of like the arc. Like it was like it's almost like an action movie like Rush Hour was, where it's like half laughs, half action. That was kind of like the formula.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's worth a watch. But in 1994, Green Day releases Dookie, and the pop punk world would never be the same again.
I mean, I was thinking about this when I saw it on the list, and this is like a huge album in my childhood, and so much so that I actually had this on tape and CD. I had to like re-get it on CD when I got my Discman, but this, when I moved to Ohio, when we would go on car trips for a solid like 4 years, this was like one of the main things that I listened to. This and Offspring Smash, it was like 1 and 2.
Which, I mean, so you contributed to those numbers, man. This album sold 20 million plus. Like that's diamond twice.
More money, more money, more money.
I don't know. I wasn't big into punk, and I guess you could call this pop. I don't know what you would call this genre-wise, but it was just like a music that I didn't necessarily listen to a lot. And, Dookie got me on board, but I feel like this is an album that I'd have to go back and really remember all of the tracks, but it was a don't skip a song album. Like you didn't have to. There wasn't any like real shitty songs. And, it's not really associated with the music. But that album art, I don't know, it's just kind of like a Where's Waldo, where you could just like look at it and see some, like you'd find something cool in it every time you looked at it. It's really like fun album art.
And I mean, this is the one that brought them to the forefront. Before this, they were not as polished. They were solely punk. And this is also the album. This is like their Black album. This is the one where their original fans started calling them sellouts and stuff. And, if the music is good, the music is good. Just because they left their independent label, who probably wasn't paying them that well, they wanted to move up in life. And the music got better.
It's fire. Like it was a good, and like the one, I think this was one of the few Green Day albums I really like was invested in. I did, keep following them, but yeah, like I said, for a few years, this was one of the main pieces of music that I listened to consistently. And it was so like, again, go back. I don't think you're skipping a lot of songs, which you can't really say for a lot, especially now, but
Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, When I Come Around.
That dude, Welcome to Paradise. I love that song. And it was like it got me pumped up too, I was excited. It was like fast paced. Some of them man, I need to go back and listen to this fully because I'm getting like goosebumps. I used to love this shit.
Man, salute to Billy Joe Armstrong.
Hell yeah.
But on that same day, Fugees released their debut, Blunted on Reality. And, honestly, man, this was just an alley-oop for the next album, The Score. That's the one that people are drawn to when you think of the Fugees, because they only made 2 albums.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, obviously that's accurate, but man, that is weird. I don't think I've ever listened to this. Like you said, this is the album before the album, so we all had The Score. But did you listen to this? Is there anything popping on it? Is there anything that's really memorable?
The track Nappy Heads, that was like their breakout single. They had 3 releases on this album, but Nappy Heads was the one, I guess. But overall, man, wake me up when The Score gets here. Okay. But on that same day, though, 2 Live Crew releases Back at Your Ass for the 9-4. And damn it, I enjoyed this. I enjoy this more than Blunted on Reality. because for one, they had Dolomite doing narration, and
I love that.
yeah, dude. Did you ever watch Black Dynamite, the cartoon?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So like, there was the guy that he always talked like this, and then he talked like that. Like that. That was based off of Dolomite, and he just like listening to the OG, the original Dolomite, doing his thing on this album. Man, it's good comedy, but also the title tracks, sex, pussy, and dick thing. Jokes on you. We want some pussy. Fuck, N-word. Suck good dick. Suck my dick. Fuck them. Work that pussy. Pigs fucking. Captain Dick and Dolomite. Drop your draws. The trick.
I mean, there's 24 tracks, you know, so, but that's what I was going to call out. I've heard some of these songs, but if you look at the album track listing, it's amazing. The names and the album artwork with Uncle Luth and gang just looking at an ass like a piece of fucking, like a ribs.
The breakout single on that album was "You Go Girl." Dun, 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 you go girl. Dun, 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 dun.
Damn.
Oh,
Captain
love that
Dick
song.
and Dolomite, though. I mean, is that a song or is that a skit?
That's got to be a song for it to be 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah, you're right about that. Damn. I love it. Suck good dick and suck my dick. And that's two different songs. So they had a lot to say.
Man, shout out the Two Live crew, Uncle Luke. Somebody who probably wasn't privy to any of that shit in 1994 is probably Jeff Galooly. Yes, this is that time of year where we get to talk about the Kerrigan Harding fiasco. I feel like we talk about them every year around this time.
You have to. It's like Thanksgiving, but with white trash. Galooly was the skinny one, not the fat one. Looked like a porn star. Might have become a porn star after he got out of jail. And he's the mastermind, Steve.
And this, allegedly, and this time around, he pleads guilty for his part in an attack on Nancy Kerrigan. He has a plea bargain. He confesses to racketeering in exchange for testimony implicating ex-wife Tanya Harding. Snitch.
Yeah, dude. Did all that and just fucking tattletaled at the end, but Galooly. What a shitty name, too. He sounds like a douche.
Yeah, it just got slime all over it.
Galooly. He's just lucky he had that fat dude that was with him. What was the other guy's name?
We never remember.
Yeah, dude, he's the scapegoat, you know? Galooly, that's why he's the mastermind. He went bought the little, like, bar that they hit her with and, you know, set it all up so that guy could take the fall. But shame on you for just tattling on the queen of the ice, you know? Fuck that.
How dare you? But that following year, 95, one of the GOATs of NBA point guardism, John Stockton passes Magic Johnson for the all-time pass or assist record mark of 9,221 in a 129-98 win over the Denver Nuggets at Salt Lake City.
Damn. John Stockton, dude. He's always part of that dynamic duo, him and Karl Malone. You know, if you're playing NBA Jam, definitely wanted to play with the Jazz once to get his ass on there. I loved it. He looked like such a geeky dude. He just didn't look like an athlete, you know? He just looked like a guy you'd play basketball with at high school, like do some pickup basketball with, but dude was a ledge.
Looked like one of Marty McFly's friends or something. Yeah. G-Dog, we're gonna play some basketball.
Hell yeah. But dude, I mean, he was on the dream team, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, you can't deny it, dude. If you were on that, you're basically on Mount Rushmore.
For sure, man. I mean, he looked like a paper boy, but like Q said, get him on the court and he's trouble. Last week, fuck around and get a triple-double. But in 1997, ECW airs Crossing the Line Again. And fuck Mary Kill, this shit was brutal, as you would imagine.
Do they cross the
Look,
line, Steve?
look at Dr. Death Steve Williams. He crossed the line.
Damn, what is going on there?
Well, he had a match with Raven and Todd Gordon, who was still the president at the time. He called an impromptu championship match. Raven was the champ, and he's like, no, the title is on the line now. And so Raven comes in there and he gets his chairs and he starts beating the fuck out of dude. And Dr. Death Steve Williams, he keeps getting up. It's kind of like on some Undertaker shit. He's like, yeah, what else you got, motherfucker? That's throughout this whole thing. He's just beating the fuck out of dude.
Jesus.
All of a sudden, the BWO comes in, and Stevie Richards, he gives them those crispy ass HBK kicks.
Hell
and
yeah.
Once again, he keeps getting back up. Yeah, what else you got? He's not trying to block him. He's just like, give me another.
Thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Just getting chin rocked. I think he took like 3 or 4 of those to the face. Eventually, Raven gets the pin and he keeps his belt. But more important to me, though, this is the first time the Dudleys, Devon and Bubba, become a tag team. Like, initially, yeah, they were like just a collective of solo wrestlers. Bubba, Devon, Big Dick Dudley, Sign Guy, all of those guys. But this is the first time they actually are like an official team, and they perform that Dudley death drop. Bam!
Love it, dude. I mean, those guys were legendary. I remember, I didn't know ECW that well, but I remember when they started coming into the WWF, or that's where they started, where they became like mainstream, I think. And yeah, great, just like a great gimmick, fucking, and they were great on the mic too.
I would say they're on my Mount Rushmore of tag teams.
And they power bomb an old bitch through one of those old ladies through a table or something.
Mae Young, yeah, man. And I remember that more for like Bubba Ray's the look on his face. Like he was shaking, like he was convulsing, like, oh my God.
But that was the WWF. But hell yeah, dude. That's crazy though. How long did it take from when the Dudleys were just like the Dudleys to this? Like, because I would have thought that was like the main thing.
Oh man, a
couple of years.
I know for sure. It was over a year. I know for sure. It might have been more.
Did they cross the line, Steve, or did they stay, behind the line?
Yeah, it was ECW in the 90s, man. Everybody crossed the line. And again. But in 1998, Parenthood is airing season 4, episode 15, A Sister Scorned. Jerri's sister plots revenge on Wendell, and TK is distracted.
I mean, I was not a regular watcher of the Parenthood, but this is seeing this episode. I already knew it was a great show, but this is a really funny show. And anything with Faison Love, I mean, you gotta respect, Steve.
And believe it or not, this was actually his last appearance. This is the last Wendell, whatever his last, the last Wendell episode, man. But I really wanted to cover this because of this lady right here.
Oh, Celeste.
Kenya Moore. I refuse to believe that this woman was ever ugly for a second in her life. Even as she came out of the womb, that's a fine baby. I bet she gonna grow up and be a supermodel. And sure enough, does that sound horrible? No. Scratch that out. That's a fine baby.
Yeah,
what the fuck was that?
I'll bleep that.
I'm just trying to say, Kenya Moore, and I watch Real Housewives of Atlanta still because of her. She's one of the reasons.
She's in that.
She's been on there, yeah.
Oh, I need to start watching that. I know it's full of like hot lunatic women, but if she's in there in the mix, I might need to start tuning in. Damn.
Still in her 50s, yeah.
I like this episode because I was an ugly duckling, Steve, and this sort of encapsulates the dream a lot of people who were like ugly as younger people have when they, turn it around later in life. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get back on those motherfuckers. And this involves a plot to sort of do that. And I love that. And I do like how it ended too, because it's perfect, but we'll get to it. But goddamn, Celeste or whatever her real name is, God bless. There's no way she was an ugly duckling, but I'll go with it.
And the episode starts off TK's reading, and Zarya, she comes in and says, like, her parents were right. We need to communicate more. And so they try to strike up a conversation. Well, did you watch the game last night? No. You like music? Boys to Men? They all right. Well, what do you think about Saddam Hussein? I don't really listen to his music either.
So who is, like, in this world, what the fuck is TK? Like, is he just around to try to just be horny teenage boy? Or does he have a real reason to be around here? I wouldn't want him in my house, talking to my daughter.
Like Leo in Growing Pains. It was like midway through the series. Let's take in this like.
Oh, okay. So he lives there. I was like, this motherfucker's just in here trying to, like, fucking throw game at random women that pop into the house. I mean, respect. I get it. But yeah, him and Zari are having, like, the equivalent of, like, that awful Tinder date where you're just like, so how you doing? It's like, fuck. Nowhere. Zari is not into TK, and he's kind of, he's not doing his best in this episode, Steve.
And how long have we talked? About minute 30. Well, that's enough. All right, bye.
But there might be something there, Steve. Might be a little something there. It seemed like there might be a little romance on the horizon, but I don't know. I didn't watch the show, but we cut from that. We get the theme song. No words, but a nice beat, Steve. I like the song. I like that Robert Townsend just making out with his wife in this. Like in the intro, he gets a nice, like, tongue kiss in there, which is I like that. He's getting his. And then we cut to the house. Faison, Wendell, his name is in the show. Robert and Jerri, which is Robert's wife. Jerri is her name, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're waiting for Celeste, who everybody knows, especially Wendell. They went to high school together, and Wendell was not too kind to this lady, Steve. I guess she had a lot of, she was like the sweet D of the high school. A lot of talk about her teeth. Maybe having some horse teeth, Steve.
She used to take a bite out of crime. Feet were so big, she'd buy shoes and just wear the boxes.
Celeste, she don't look like Jimmy Walker with a weave no more? Okay. You just want, I mean, perfect for Faison in this episode, because he just starts snapping on this chick. He won't stop. They're like, you can't be doing this when she shows up. You're gonna scare her off like you did in high school. Because I mean, he was just, I guess, just awful to this chick. But when she shows up, because I guess, like, aren't Robert and him supposed to go to, like, a Knicks game? And she shows up, Wendell, and I mean, rightfully so, is like, holy shit. And then Robert's like, come on, man, we got to go to the Knicks game. And Wendell just gets, like, temporary amnesia because this chick's so out. He's like, what? Who are the Knicks? Huh? I can fuck that.
Basketball? What's the basketball?
This has to be, like, terrifying. He went the one way, she went the other. But man, he's like, hey, Celeste. And she's giving him the biz. She's giving him some biz too, though. She seems like she's like might have a little crush on him. At least she's being real nice to a guy that used to bully her, Steve. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the part of the plan. And then one of the side stories is Nick, Cece, and Cece's friend Jesse. They're working on a science project, and TK was supposed to help them out. He's just like, man, I just told you that to get you out the bathroom.
And they want to build a robot out of just, like, random junk, Steve. I mean, they just got a whole heap of shit on the table, like parts of flashlights, this and that. TK's like, hey, man, I don't remember saying any of that. He's like saying all these things. I'm not going to help you. But then one of the kids' sisters comes in. I think her name's Vivica.
Vivica, yeah.
And TK's like, oh, well, what can I do to help? He's all about it now. And like him and Vivica start hitting it off, Steve.
I know a little bit about robots. R2D2, RoboCop, Robotessa, robots. Shit. I'm a Robo Pro.
One of the kid's sister is hilarious too. He's like man, why are you help? He keeps like he's like, why is nobody helping us? And I think he even warns him about Vivica might be in a little fast, Steve. But TK, he's zeroed in. He's locked in.
Yeah, little Jesse, like I think he's kind of a recurring character around this time, man. My fifth's a fast with that missing tooth.
And then we cut to just the house, and Robert and Jerri are going over bills. And Wendell's like, just shows up. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing? Just wanted to see, if you guys are good. If maybe Celeste is around. Where's she at? Conveniently." And Celeste comes in. And, she's like, "Oh, I have to go. It's funny you're here, Wendell. I need to go to the mall. I got to pick up some stuff. So you can give me a ride." And he's like, "What do you want you want to take the Benz, the Lexus?" And she's like, "Ooh, I'll take the Benz." And he's like, "You got one? Because I'm not going to minivan back here." But again, like, Celeste she seems into it, Steve. Seems a little weird. She seems, maybe she's into a chubby chasing, but Wendell feels like he might have a shot.
And I mean, Robert thinks so too. But Jerri, I don't know. I think she might be the first one that's skeptical. Like, did you see that? It's like, well, he is a smooth talker, kind of like how you used to jock me back in the day. Like, whoa,
you're right though. It's Robert Townsend. Jerri was all over that. But yeah, Jerry's kind of suspect. But who wouldn't be? I'd be like, what is going on here? What do I not see here? But for right now, it seems like maybe Wendell might be hitting the jackpot. It's like a Stockholm syndrome, The bully is like the bullied still wants to like get the approval of the bullies. So I don't know, but this makes I remember being fat thinking a hot chick was really into you, and I get it, Wendell. I get it. You want to believe so badly.
You're going through all the possible scenarios as to why she likes you. Yeah, man. I walked into class with those clean shoes that one day. She liked my swag.
Yeah. She saw me from that good angle in that shirt that makes me look less fat.
That diagonal angle.
And then we cut back to the whole robot sitch, and it's still just there's no robot, Steve. It's a pile of garbage, and TK and Vivica are over on the side, and TK's just trying to like grind on Vivica while these kids are trying to do their science project, which I mean, I get it. I've been a teenager, but damn, at least act like you're gonna help, TK. You fuck. Yeah.
He's helping himself to my sister.
The kid is awesome, dude. And then I love this. We cut back to Robert, and he's on the couch and just doing some curls, Steve. He's got a 5-pounder. He's just doing some curls for reps, really trying to get that definition in. And he's like, 20, 30. Jerri walks in. He's like, 5,001, 5,000. Yeah. And Jerri comes in and she addresses the elephant in the room. And we're not talking about Wendell himself, but she's like, look, something's up. I'm concerned that Celeste is just, even if she is into him, she's too good for him. And Robert's like, that's fucked up. Why? She's like, come on.
Like, seriously, though, I have to spell it out for you. And Celeste comes in with Wendell, and he's a model now. Celeste, she gaslighting this motherfucker, talking about, yeah, he's gonna be a supermodel. And then supermodel, Robert says, he goes to one of his dreams, which is always one of my favorite parts of this show. When he does his little daydreaming, it just it becomes outlandish, and the dream is Wendell, he's striking these different poses, and cue that Cat Williams interview, because I remember him saying, why does Faison have to take his shirt off and everything he's in? like sure
He's trying
enough,
to
here
put
we are.
his hands on me like this. He's fucking. You're right. Money talks. Shirt off. Steve. He's in 5 seconds. Damn,
Couples
Cat.
trip. Yeah.
Hey, why not though? He's got a beautiful body, Steve. This man's built out of granite. He's
With
just
the taco beef up top.
But he is voguing, Steve. He's getting all the poses. I mean, he really knocks it out of the park. It's like a whole Playgirl centerfold shoot in this dream sequence. But then we cut back to reality, and we're left with Wendell, who, like you said, even Wendell's now like, yeah, Celeste said even like there's all kinds of supermodels now, good looking ones, me, that kind of thing. But he's getting the attention, Steve. Again, this dude is being gaslit now. We don't know that yet. It hasn't been said out loud, but I think everybody that's watching this is like, this bitch is up to something. What's going on here?
And now he's trying to eat different. He's telling Robert, I'm trying to go for some celery, some rice cakes, maybe even a salad. But we could stop at that rib shack too. And so they go and get something to eat. And that leaves Celeste and Jerri to talk, and she's like, wow, you shot 5 whole rolls of Wendell. Like, you really believe in this modeling thing, don't you? She finally comes clean, and she's like, look, I just want to get my get back. That fat motherfucker pissed me off back in the day, and I'm fine now, and I want to show him.
I mean, you could just deny his ass to his face, but this chick wants to set him up for some kind of ultimate humiliation in front of, I guess, the supermodel world. Where's the show set, Steve? New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so she says that to Jerri, and then Jerri tries to talk her out of it. She's like, you can't do this to him. Like, that's our friend. And Celeste just kind of like, she's like, man, fuck you, and storms out. Like, fuck you for not supporting me. Because when she says, I think, like, I thought I was cool, but when I saw him, everything he did to me came back to me. And now I got to fucking get this fat motherfucker, like you said. So she's out in the wind. Wendell's out at the rib shack with Robert. And, the goal for Robert and Jerri is to tell Wendell what's up, but they might be too late, Steve.
They try to run interference, and back to the science project fiasco, it's nothing. Like, they put all of that stuff together, the flashlight parts, the batteries, the paper clips, and the glue, and yeah, it doesn't do anything. Cece says it's a no-bot, which I like that.
Yeah, Zaria comes in, and the kids are like, she's like, what the fuck happened? Like, wasn't TK supposed to help you out? And they're like, he was helping himself to the lady. Like, he didn't do nothing. And she basically agrees to help them out to get this. I don't, maybe she's a robotics expert. Like, if I saw some kids and they're like, can you help us make a robot? I'd be like, absolutely not. But, let's glue some shit together. Let's put some on a cork board, or we'll figure out an A for you. But I think also Zaria is like, and then once we do that, we're going to get a little spice for TK for fucking this up too, because he dropped the ball. So, Zaria, stand-up chick. Cut now to the fashion show, and Robert and Jerri get there. Obviously, they get stopped by the doorman. He's like, so you can't... Are you here? Like, who are you here with? And they try to give every name. They're like, Robert's like, gives their name, not on the list. And then he starts thinking of, I guess, like Italian names. And so he's like, what, marinara, panini? Like, and there's no names on the list, Steve. They can't get in.
But these other guys walk in, and their models, apparently, they got their suits like over their shoulder, and he sneaks in with them, basically. And, so he found his entrance, and cut to Celeste and Wendell. And she's telling him, like, hey, after tonight, everyone's going to know who you are. She's giving him pointers on how to do this and that. And then all of a sudden, Robert shows up on stage dressed like the MTV Moon Man without the helmet. And apparently Wendell, he sees this. He's like, dude, why are you dressed like Puffy?
He has like Pop-Tart fucking material on, and he's like, he tries to tell him, and when it's so loud, Wendell's like, man, and Robert's like, man, just come backstage. He has to like do all this crazy shit on stage. He looks like, remember the end of Revenge of the Nerds when they do like the techno shit? He's like part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now Wendell's at least kind of has like something's up, you know, and I think before he can even go, but like Celeste like is like, hey, are you ready? And before Wendell can go back and like talk to Robert, Wendell just looks at, maybe he even knows, like kind of caught what Robert said, but he looks at Celeste and is like, hey, Celeste, before we do anything else, I just want to tell you, I'm sorry for how I treated you. I shouldn't have been like that. I was fucked up. And she's like, why would you do that? And he's like, you know, man, I was young. Like, I didn't know how to talk to chicks. And I guess that was my way of telling you that I liked you. I just couldn't say that to your face. So instead, you know, I called you horse mouth or whatever the shit was, whatever the dozens of things he said to her were. But then we kind of like, that started. You know, he said what he needed to say, but we don't know what happened after that because I think we cut back to Robert, right? Or maybe we cut back to the kids.
The kids, yeah, because now with Zaria's help, they actually have a formidable science project. It actually looks like something now. And TK, he comes in, he's like, "Oh man, so y'all got it together, y'all figured it out, huh? Okay, yeah." And they basically goad him into pushing a button, and he ends up getting sprayed in the face and on the shirt. And he's like, "Man, you used us to hang out with Vivica. Where's she at now?" And then little Jesse was like, "She ran off with another guy, didn't she?" I told you she was fast.
Motherfucker. So yeah, I mean, obviously though, Zaria at least figures out like how to set some kind of cream trap thing. Like, salute to that, because I couldn't even figure that out. But then, you know, we cut to the living room, and Robert is talking to Jerri, and he's like, man, I just feel bad for Wendell, man. Fucking, you know, I thought he had a shot with this, like an angel. And they're kind of talking about it and figuring out what happened. And then, you know, Wendell walks in with Celeste, and it's like they're all buddies. They're laughing. They're having a great time. It's like, what happened here? You know, maybe they made up, Steve.
She had a change of heart, and couldn't have been me. I want every person who picked on me as a kid, who talked about my ears, I want to see you suffer.
Yeah. I mean, this was my dream, Steve. Believe me. I was a fat kid who had a lot of crushes when I was in high school with chicks that wouldn't give me the business. And there was a lot of chicks that I wanted to do something like just to give them like a, hey, you wrong choice, bad decision, one of those moments. And so I get where Celeste is coming from. But also credit to her because she's beautiful and she has a heart. Once she gets the apology, that's enough. So Celeste, God bless. And the real name of the woman who I can't remember because I'm a pothead. What's her name?
Kenya Moore.
Kenya Moore. God bless you and the genetics that made you, because it's fantastic. It's perfect. You are an angel. Even back then. I mean, even so, she's maintained that and is on Real Housewives and is looking still fine as hell.
Fine as all get out in her 50s. Yes.
I love that.
God bless her. You know, she is a 90s hottie, man, because she was on an episode of Martin. She was on an episode of Fresh Prince. Like, she hit the black sitcom chitlin circuit just from how fine. And also, she was Miss Universe. Or no.
Miss America?
It wasn't Miss America. There's another. What was it? Miss? No, it's one of them. And if she sees this, yeah, she'll get pissed because I think like she had a beef with my other crush, Portia. When she first got on the show, they had like a butting of heads of sorts, and Portia kept referring to her as Miss America. And it's like, no, I think it's Miss USA. I think there's a different one.
Okay, well, she deserves all of them.
All of them.
And if she's maintained that more than a decade, God bless. That's just good genetics, Steve. So Kenya,
I love you. In that following year, 1999, Everybody Loves Raymond is airing season 3, episode 15, Robert's Date. Judy takes Robert out dancing. Everyone else thinks they're dating.
Great episode. And I sympathize with this as a white guy who dates black chicks, Steve. This is the nightmare in a case where maybe you have to go out to a club that you're not used to. You're sticking out like a sore thumb. So I've been in these shoes as well, in a way. I'm a tall white man that maybe found myself at a club like this and, maybe did some dancing like Robert. We'll see. But I love this. And anything Robert centric in this show, gold. We've found that many times already, but this Brad Garrett is fucking hilarious.
Is he your favorite character on the show?
I mean, I guess like for the amount of comedy you get, but to me, the dad is the funniest one because he's just doesn't give a fuck. And I like a lot of, but both of them are hilarious.
For sure, man. And this episode starts with Judy and Robert. They're in the cop car. She's his co-worker, his sergeant, I guess. And she's asking him, so like, what are you doing this weekend? I think I'm picking up a shift. So you don't have any plans, huh? The little blonde ski bunny left you.
Yeah. And he's like, well, she left me for a guy that lives in the building. And from what I can hear above me, they're getting along just fine. So Robert's having a bad luck in love. And she's like, well, what are you going to do then? He's like, well, I'm going to hang out with my buddies. I got friends. Tommy, Jim. She's like, isn't that the name of your nephews? And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to hang out with them. Okay.
Yeah. Damn, you remember their names.
Damn. But, she invites him out to go out with her. So, this is one thing also I get being a coworker and not really wanting to hang out with the people you work with. I get that too, Steve. But dude needs to get out. He needs the nightlife. He needs the boogie.
And he's at his brother's house per usual, and he's telling him like, "Hey, I'm going out with Judy and her friends. We're going to talk. Who goes out with their friends to talk?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to Etta's, and she's going to pick me up here." It's like, why is she picking you up here? Because this is where I am.
And Judy shows up. And to use Robert's words, she's sparkly, Steve. She's dressed up. He's in like a principal, like a assistant principal uniform, which is just like khakis and a shitty shirt. She shows up looking great, and he's like, "Who is Etta? Like, I don't know where we're going." Clearly, he's not dressed for success because they're going to this club, and he wants to cancel, but Ray's like, dude, you can't, because Ray just is like, you got to get out of the house so me and Deb can, we can be alone. I need the night to myself.
And as they're leaving, Frank and Marie come in, and Frank says, "You two going undercover to bust Johns or something?"
Hey, where's Gladys Knight and the other Pips? And I love the energy they have because both of these old white people are like, think their son's dating a black chick, and the dad's like, he's stunned to silence, and the mom's like, "Oh, I'm cool with it. Just wondering how long this is happening, but it doesn't matter because I'm totally cool with it. Totally down."
Even though she's a black. She's black.
But the dad's face the whole time is just like this. Thankfully, this is not my experience when I brought black girls home, but I think the older generation might have. This is hilarious. This is something that I hopefully doesn't happen too much more, but hilarious. And like I said, the dad he's killing it. The comedy is just never ending.
And so now they're at Etta's, and Robert, he's the token white guy. He's like a fish out of water. And she's introducing him to like all of her friends. And first there's Rob. "Hey Rob, what's up, dog?" And so he's like,
"Hey man."
Hey, he calls him Boo. Like, "Hey Boo." Like, what?
I like how he takes Judy aside. He's like, "I'm gonna go. This isn't really my milieu, if you will." And she's like, "Man, just dance. Shut up. Dance with me." And
he does.
He has to like ease into it like a cold pool though. It starts with the legs, Steve, and then it gets to the point where he's getting the Go Robert chant. This is what you want as a nerd dancing. You want to hear that. You need that.
Go Robert. And he's getting loose, man. They're feeling him. The next scene, Robert comes in dressed like a 90s R&B singer.
Like fucking John B, Steve. He's got the whole polyester chest out. And now he's just like, yo, what's up, dog? What's up? What's cracking in here?
Just here to help out Allie with the book report on Harriet Tubman. It's Black History Month. You know what I'm saying, brother?
And Ray's like, where'd you get these clothes at? And he's like, some new clothes. Just got to get out, brother. Even starts. I think he throws an eye in there too, Steve. Which that's you don't want that. You don't want that.
He went from the shallow end all the way to the fucking ocean, and now he's saying like, "Hey, I'm going out with Judy and her crew. We got a crew. Oh, you got a crew now? Word."
Yeah. And the mom and dad come in again, and now their fears are compounding because now it seems like Robert's actually dating this. It's official. Their son's transforming before their eyes into, one of the Pips.
Black like me.
The dad even says that, and the dad's like, Ray, please talk to your brother. Please, something's going on here. And Ray's like, what am I gonna say? What the fuck? And I guess like him and Judy had plans, but Judy calls and I guess just wants to hang out with him only. And he's like, I didn't want that. We were supposed to hang out with the crew, but now this seems like a little weird. I don't know if I should date. It doesn't have basically the gist. He's like, this seems like a date. I don't think I should. This is kind of weird now. I don't like this.
Yeah. We busted into crack houses together. I look at her as my sister. And, I like the little interaction he has with his mom. He's like, I like that you're down with it. You're not trying to put salt in my game. Oh, I'm all the way down with it. Well, and Ray's like, can you be across the street with it?
But Robert wants Ray to go too, because he's like, dude, I don't want this to get weird. So you need to like smooth this, like keep it from getting romantic. I can't have that. So Ray reluctantly has to go on this. He's like the third wheel on this date now.
That is so whack. We're going to go to the club. Thought we were going to go to the club with our peeps. Now she wants to go to a restaurant. Now what's that about? Well, I don't know what you call it in your new world, but we call that a date here in the honky land.
And Judy shows up to the restaurant, and Robert immediately leaves Ray and her at the table to deal with this. And Judy's like, man, what are you doing here? I'm trying to hang out with just Robert. And it seems like what Robert thought was real, because Ray's like, oh, you wanted to be on a date. But that's not the case, Steve. That's not the case at all.
You want some soul food? I'm gonna hook you up. You know what I'm saying? And so like he goes out to talk to the waiter, or like he wants to just get away and let them two talk or whatever. Cause Judy is about to say something, but Robert can't take it. So he's like, I'm gonna leave. You talk to my brother. And Robert's just like, he doesn't want to be your boyfriend. Judy laughs like, boyfriend? Where the hell did you get that from? Well, I mean, he got it from you. And Judy's just like, you know what? He's been hanging out with me and my friends, and he's just been acting, he's been tripping.
And yeah, she's just like, it's getting weird. So basically, I need to just tell him he can't hang out. And it's going to get awkward. So Judy's like, you know what? This is perfect, actually, because you would be better to tell Robert this than me. So when Robert comes back, Judy's like, you know what? I got to go. Ray, tell him. And she just leaves. So goddamn, guys, just spit it out. Don't make Ray, but Ray's caught in the middle of this. So
again.
Yeah. And, Ray basically tries to tell Robert what Judy says at this point. You know, he's like, it's not she wants to date you. It's what do they say, Steve?
He basically says she doesn't want to date you because you're black. And that's like an awkward pause. Everybody just like, what? Because they're the only white guys in there. And he's like, that's so whack. See, that's right there. We're Italian, Robert. Whack has a different definition.
She thinks you're putting on an act. And Robert again says, you know, he's trying to get deprogrammed at this point, I guess. But he tells Robert that, you know, basically, you know, you don't have to do that. You're hanging out with her all the time. Don't you guys talk when you're riding around in the squad car? And Robert's like, well, yeah, we talk. And he's like, well, what do you talk about then? He's like, everything. So he's like, that's you. You don't have to do all this. She already thought you were cool. So stop saying whack all the time. Stop saying I ate. That's not you.
No, I'm saying, not me.
And then, you know, they decide to stay and eat. And then I don't know if there was like some joke that I missed, but Robert starts going in on Hasidic Jews at the end of this. He's like, you know who's really weird? Or he says
no,
something.
he said interesting. You know who are really interesting people? He's like, oh my God, those Hasidic Jews. He's like, dude, what? No, don't. What? People can make a little observation.
And that's it. But we do get on the end credits just a little more peek into Robert's like rhythm and dancing, which I gotta say has like a tinge of Elaine Bettis, like that spastic dance she has. It's got a little of that, you know.
It's got a little rhythm though. He's hitting that electric slide.
Yeah.
I like they're playing some Coolio in the background. Slide, slip and slide. Come along and ride. I love it. Shout out to Robert, man, / Brad Garrett. I need to check that 33andMe because I don't know, maybe we are related, man. I like to think so.
Hell yeah. You never know, man. You throw a little leisure suit on that, he gets a little picture me. That's how I want to dress, Steve. Can I dress like that, you think? Could I pull that off?
But just be you, Matt. Don't come with the extra. You can pull that off. I could see it.
An ill-fitting suit, maybe a hoop earring, MJ style. Just, you know, come in, but just me. I'll still talk like this, but I got to throw on a little style on it, you know?
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or kids you want to get out of your backyard?
Man, I don't 90s callbacks this week. I haven't done a lot of 90s. I've been kind of under the weather and stuff, and I'm getting back into it. But I did. I was like going through old video games. I found like some stuff in one of these boxes, and a video game I forgot for Nintendo. I'm pointing at my old school NES. Do you remember the DuckTales game? It was like a platformer, dude. I used to be so good at that, and I was looking it up, and apparently that's like considered a very hard video game. And I just have to say, young me used to beat that on the reg. I would put that in and just beat it in one shot. So
Really?
I can't do that anymore. I suck at video games, but I forgot about DuckTales completely. And I loved that game as a kid. Did you remember playing that?
I remember how hard it was. I was just going to comment like how difficult like the gameplay and all of that was, man.
You had to like bounce on his stick and shit on Scrooge McDuck's stick. I think you only played as him, if I'm not mistaken. I think all the other characters sort of made cameos, but he was the guy that you were playing with in the game. And yeah, you want to be pissed off. I do remember a lot of like throwing of controllers and that, but yeah, I got good at that as a kid, and I still got it. Shit, if I can get this thing warmed up, we might be able to play it someday.
Mr. One Take Wonder, huh?
Fuck yeah, dude. There was a couple of those games where that and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game when it came out on NES, I would just blow through that. I was so good at it through repetition. But yeah, I used to love me some Nintendo. I'm a Sony guy now, so I jump ship.
Hey, man, and you're better off for it.
Yeah, you're right. But what about you, Steve?
Man, only thing I have, man, is like, hey, let this Everybody Loves Raymond episode be an example for any of our white listeners or viewers who have black friends. Hey, you're our friends for a reason. like we liked you for being you, and we start bringing you around other black folks. Just continue being you, and the people who mind don't matter. The people that matter don't mind.
Did this ever happen to you? And because I mean, I never did this.
Yes.
But
No.
did this ever happen to you? Like, did you have other white friends that would like get in contact with just any of your black friends and be like, "Yo, what's up, dog?" Like, I would feel icky doing that, you know?
Yeah, and like not as like outlandish. You know what? I take that back. You know what? There was a guy, and I'm good friends with the guy. We don't speak, but Carl Christians, bless his heart, man. I remember Carl Christians came from Nebraska to Toledo, Ohio in 7th grade. And when he moved to Toledo, he was just like Michael Rappaport at the beginning of Higher Learning. He played basketball. He was a big fan of the Minnesota Timberwolves. His favorite player was Doug West. He loved Kevin Garnett. He was just like, he was a wild, you know what I'm saying? He was raised by his mom. And, he lived just a block away from me and my friends. And we would bring him around. We would start hooping. We would get him hip to like the different, like Notorious B.I.G. and all that. Man, halfway through that school year, Carl Christians was unbearable to the point where me and him fought. Man, we stopped. I dropped the basketball, turned around and slapped the fuck out of him because I had too much. It was just like, oh my God, bro. Ooh. Dude,
I love that. I love you slapped him, Steve. You tried to slap some sense into him for real. I love that.
Because he was just doing the most to the point where he was talking shit. He was just like this very like just innocent guy. It was like textbook. Like it was like night and day,
weird
man.
To me because it'd be like especially as somebody like if I'm your friend and then you take me someplace else and I start acting different, I wouldn't be able to look at you the same either. Because I'd be like, man, he knows who I really am. He knows that this ain't real. That's crazy. But I guess I'm glad you slapped him, Steve. Did he change after that? Did he come back a little bit, or did that just like sort of stop the friendship? And you don't know, He
Look,
became
I
John
felt
Bean.
bad. I felt bad because like I would go to his house after school. We would like trade basketball cards. He would come to my house, man. We'd play video games and stuff like that, man. So I really felt bad, man, for putting my hands on him. Like, but like my friends, my black friends who like also saw this evolution or de-evolution of this happening, man. They felt that same. They were getting frustrated with it. And like by the end of the school year, I apologized, man. We shook hands. And like
Hell yeah.
I moved to
See,
Paris.
you were a good kid all the time. You were like, you've had it in you. I love that.
And
I slapped a kid in the face at one of our friend's birthday for just acting crazy, but I never had the balls to say I was sorry. I was just like, yeah, I was justified in that. So you don't get an apology, but I love that, Steve. You're the bigger man. And you had to slap, sometimes you got to slap somebody. People don't realize that anymore, but that's a real thing. Sometimes somebody needs slapped.
I wouldn't do that now. For that,
You're
I wouldn't do it.
Man, though, so you have more sense.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, in general and spiritually, even now, like I wouldn't do it. But if we're just talking like reality, there's people that walk around that need a slap, and we'll probably do better with the slap to get them off of whatever track they're on. But I love that, and I love that you just stood up. You were like representative of your other buddies. Like somebody has to do something about this. Crack. I love it.
This is getting out of hand. And like, we were Facebook friends, and then our mutual friend, and I love this guy, Todd. And you've met Todd because I brought him around to our dorm a couple times.
Okay.
He made a public post doing like some kind of like nostalgic thing. And he was like, hey man, you remember that time Steve Garrett slapped you, man? And after that post, I noticed Carl like was not my friend on Facebook anymore. And I talked to Ty like, dude, like me and him were cool. Why did you bring that up? Like, dude, I apologize and everything. Like, I actually like Carl. Like, Carl was like a genuinely good person.
Yeah.
Like, we were kids, man. And I haven't spoke to Carl since, man. He's still here with us. And like, I hope one of the times I go to Toledo, I hope we just cross paths and we can make amends. Cause like he was funny on top of that. He was a cool dude. He played basketball. He listened to hip hop, man. And like we connect, just like how me and you connected over mutual likes, mutual interests, man. And
Well, maybe
and
he's
Ty, that's one
listening,
of
Steve. Maybe Carl's listening. Maybe he's out there. He's listening to the show and he hears this. Carl,
yeah,
it's all good, man.
yeah.
You could have we could have been hanging out. This could have been a triumvirate, maybe, but still, get in touch with Steve. He did the right thing.
Please, Carl, man, I got love for you, bro. And I like the person that you've grown to become. Like you're not as like outlandish as you were starting to be.
Maybe because of
but
that
and I
slap,
felt
Steve. Maybe because of the slap. Maybe that it took a while, but maybe it was that. It hurts, but
possibly, but I felt like we created a monster. Like, man, you were around us too long, too much, man. Like, what are you?
I mean, we
But
saw that though.
anyways,
If you encourage some shit though, and don't let it, if you let shit slide, we saw that in college. We all know what happened with Ugly Jason. People think they're they don't get told or they don't get a fucking slap, and then they become a fucking monster that you have to just lock doors to hide from when they come around. So, let that be a lesson out there. Don't incite violence, but some people need to hear or get some kind of check that they drastically deserve. So, Steve, I see where you're a good guy. So even if you do something right, you hurt somebody's feelings a little bit, you feel bad. And that's because you're a good person. So, I'm telling you as your buddy now, you did the right thing. And I like that.
man. Yeah, man. Call me, Carl. But
I love it.
please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell your little sister, welcome to paradise. And also check out our buddy Clark the Shark, man. He just interviewed us last week, man, and that's going to hit the interwebs here, I believe, in a week or two. Good guy, despite being from Philadelphia. And also check out our affiliate shows, Food Show Fanatics and Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesdays. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happen in the 90s.
I'm not black, I'm OJ.